the gas tank. Look at that motor. What's up, everybody? I'm back from college. We are officially done. Graduated, don't gotta go back. So you know what that means. It's time to work on the truck. If you haven't been following my TikTok, a few things happened the past couple months. First, the C-notch and frame bracing is done. We have a trapezoidal C-notch in the frame now. So there's an internal plate, and then we have external plates on both sides, fully boxing and reinforcing the frame. And then we added some reinforcements up to the front cross member there, just to keep everything more solid. This bar here is a piece of angle iron, and that's our front mount for our gas tank. So this gas tank I custom made specifically to fit back here behind the axle. I roughed the whole thing in with a spool gun, and then I phoned in a friend who is an absolute wizard at TIG welding, and he finish welded the whole thing for me. And it looks beautiful. So to get this thing running today, we need to get this gas tank mounted. So we can't just mount metal to metal because the steel is going to wear a hole in the aluminum and then it's going to leak. So we're going to rubber mount it. All right, we got the straps made, so let's get the tank mounted. This is the stock fuel sender that is out of the 99 Silverado that I pulled the motor and trans out of. And I custom machined this ring to accept the fuel pump and have the factory seal still seal on the ring. So we have this ring that I also custom machined that sits on top. Let's get the wires out of the way. We have that ring that sits on top and holds it down into place. With the fuel pump mounted, we're going to test fit the box and make sure that everything still clears. Definitely easier to move. Test fitting's not going so well. Cross member is right on top of the fuel pump. So we're gonna have to space the tank down, which isn't a big deal. We still got tons of room. All right, we got a lot done here. Both the fuel lines are in and are ready to go. I still have to take and put some rubber on them so they don't sit here and vibrate holes in themselves, but they run all the way up to the fuel pressure regulator right here, and then that runs all the way up to the motor. So the fuel line comes up right next to the shift linkage, then we transition to stainless steel braided hose, and then that comes up to the back of the fuel rail. So everything's wired up, the battery's hooked up. So if we take and turn the key here, we should hear it prime. Nice. It's probably not very good for it, but I got a million of them. I am waiting on one more fitting to come. I ended up losing it in the process of moving all the stuff from one garage to the other, but all of this plumbing all came from It all came from Jegs. So I'll put out a list of a whole bunch of part numbers in the description and then a link that you can take, and anything you want to try to replicate this, it'll be there. So if you follow my TikTok, you've probably seen this, but if not, this is pretty cool. So my filler neck for my fuel tank is right here. And the stock fuel fill is like all the way up here on the box. But if you remember, I shaved that fuel fill off of the box. So we got a little bit creative. We're gonna be back here. So this is a fuel door hinge off of an '88 Chevy truck. So it's the body style that's after the square bodies. And then the rest of this is just some round stock and some flat plate that I bent up and welded together to make the hinge. So behind the taillight, I'm gonna put this fuel cap. So it's spring loaded. If I can get it open. Yeah. It's spring loaded and it seals. So I shouldn't have to worry about vapors coming up behind the taillight or anything like that. And I'm also converting to LED taillights, so we shouldn't have to worry about fumes or anything while it's sitting in there. But that's gonna sit roughly about there. So I gotta make a filler neck. That's gonna probably be out of hose. It's gonna run from the cap here all the way down to the tank. All of that's probably gonna end up in the next video, and that doesn't need to be done to get the truck running, but there's a few more things we have to do up here to do that. So one thing that we need to get done before we fire this thing up is we gotta hook up our fan harness. So I made this a little while ago. I think I made a TikTok on it, but we basically have two relays. We have two relays right here that both get our trigger power from the computer, and they just turn on each of our individual fans. All right, the fans are hooked up, programmed, ready to go. We got coolant in it, we got trans fluid, we have oil, and my fitting came. So that fitting that I lost, I don't know when, Jegs hooked me up with a replacement. So now we're gonna get this fuel line in. I got some fuel. We're gonna get this thing started up, hopefully like 10 minutes. So a quick look at this fitting. It is a number 6 AN female to 3/8 compression fitting. All right, fitting's in, everything should be tight. We're gonna double check. So we got HP tuners up here. We're gonna go in and prime the fuel pump. Now we're just gonna go to fuel system underneath the green little power button, fuel pump, and hit on. It only ran for a second, but it does sound better with fuel in it. I don't see any leaks. Always have a fire extinguisher handy. And if it's a powder one, make sure you break it up just in case you actually need to use it. Oh yeah. My suspicion of a stuck injector was right. Look at how just caked in fuel this plug is. All right, so our number 4 injector was stuck open, and I think it pumped in enough fuel while I was trying to start it that it hydrolocked the motor and might have broken some teeth off the flywheel. So I think we're not totally dead in the water. So I got underneath, checked out the flywheel. The flywheel looks like it's okay, but these motors have a gear-driven starter, so I think we might have killed the starter on this thing. So here's the starter, and right there is what broke. I'd much rather take that over a flywheel. So I have another one of my starters in, and now we're gonna turn it over and see what happens. All right, the belt's slipping a little bit, and it's super tight, so I don't know why that is, but we'll figure that out later. I'm gonna pull these injectors off and try to get them all cleaned up. So to get the fuel rails off, there's 2 bolts on each side, one in the front and one in the back. We're gonna get both of those off, unplug the injectors, and the fuel rails come right up. you plug your coil pack in? No. So on HP tuners, everything's looking pretty good. We're at 162 degrees. Everything's looking good. She's idling great. It's pretty mellow for having just pipe. Still gotta do a little bit of tuning. It doesn't like to come down off an idle while it's still warming up. So a little hiccup there. Otherwise, everything's pretty much ready to go. Gotta get that brake line shortened up. Then we're gonna get the fuel fill finished, put the box back on, and then it'll look like a truck again. But that's gonna be it for this video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.